Good evening everyone, this is Anil Patidar, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Information Technology, Acropolis Institute of Technology and Research, Indore. In today's lecture, we will discuss about one of the important feature of object-oriented programming language, that is inheritance. This is our today's agenda. First, we will discuss about the inheritance, then we will discuss about why and when to use the inheritance, means in which situations we can use the inheritance. Lastly, we will discuss about the modes of inheritance, means what are the different modes in which we can inherit a class. These are the learning outcomes. So at the completion of this lecture, you all will be able to apply the concept of reusability, means how we can use the existing code so that the development and maintenance cost will be less. Second learning outcome, reduce the code redundancy, means how to reduce the chance of errors and duplicacy so that the code redundancy will be very less. To achieve these objectives, we have some prerequisites, such as you have to some basic knowledge about the classes and objects, like how to create the classes and objects, how to create the members and member function of the class, and how to access them. You also some knowledge about the fundamentals of access specifiers, means how to use the access specifier with the different data members and member functions. Now basically inheritance is the capability of a class to derive the properties and characteristics from another class, or we can say that inheritance is the process by which one class can acquire the behaviors and attributes of another class. Basically there are two types of classes in inheritance, subclass and superclass. So basically subclass is a class that acquire the properties that inherits the property of another class. It is also known as derived class. The second class is superclass, the class whose property are being inherited. It is also known as base class. Basically inheritance is done in such a way that you can reuse, or you can extend, or you can also modify the attributes and behaviors of the base class. Now why and when to use the inheritance, means in which situations we can use the inheritance. So consider an example of group of vehicles. Suppose we are having three vehicles, bus, car and truck, and we are having some common methods like fuel amount, capacity and apply brakes. Now suppose we want to create these classes by avoiding the inheritance, then we need to write all these methods for each class. See this figure. So if we want to create these functionalities for bus class, we can also want to create these functionality for car, and we want to also create this functionality for the truck class. Then we can repeat the process of creation of these same methods for all the classes, means we are duplicating the methods in each class. Okay, so this create the duplicacy, and it can also create the chance of error. Okay, and this leads to data redundancy. So to avoid this type of situation, inheritance is used. So suppose we create a class named as vehicle as a base class, and write these three functionality, fuel amount, capacity and apply brake in the vehicle class, and these we can create then we can create three classes, bus, car and truck, as a derived class that inherits the properties, that inherit the methods of the base class. So look the next slide, look this diagram. So here we have created a class vehicle, and we have created these three methods that are common to all classes in the base class. Now we can create three different classes: bus, car and truck. These three classes, all the three classes inherit the property of the vehicle class, base class. Means here vehicle is the base class that provide their properties to the derived classes: class, truck and car. Okay, so by using inheritance we have to write the functions only one time instead of writing three times. Now come to the implementation of the inheritance in C++. So for creating the subclass which is inherited from the base class, we have used the following syntax. Okay, so first we write the keyword class, then we have to write the name of the subclass, then we use the colon, then we write the access mode, means access specifier like public, private or protected, then we write the base class name. Okay, then we are creating the derived class, so in the curly braces we write the body of subclass, means the functionalities of the subclass, means data member and member functions of the subclass. This is the implementation of the inheritance. So basically in inheritance we are having a subclass and we are having a derived class. Minimum we are having a subclass and we are having a base class. Okay, so here we are having two classes, one is parent and second one is child. Parent is the base class and child is the subclass. Okay, so here in the parent class we are having a data member named as id underscore p of integer type. Okay, and it is declared in the public section of the class. Okay, now in this example we also created a subclass named as child class. Okay, that inherit the parent class publicly. Okay, and it also have a id underscore c variable of public type. Now come to the main function. Now how to use the functionality of parent class using the derived class. So in this case we have to create the object of child class, means subclass. So create the object. So for creation the object we are having a simple syntax: write the name of the class, means write the name of derived class child, then write the name of object. Okay, and this is the sentence. So close this statement with semicolon. Now call the data members and member function of the derived class as well as parent class with the help of the derived class object. So how we can call? So write the object name, then dot operator, then write the data member or member function name here. Okay, so in this example we are having only data member, we are having only member of public type. Okay, so write the object name means obj1 dot id underscore c. Okay, and provide the value for the id underscore c for the variable. So we have provided value as a 7. Now call the parent data member with the help of the child object. So obj1 dot id underscore p is equal to 91. Now print the values. Okay, so you for printing the values we use the cout statement. So child id is obj1 dot underscore c. This is very simple statement. So I think you all know about it. Okay, so cout for the parent id printing. So parent id is equal to obj dot id underscore p. Now write the return 0 statement, because our main function is of integer type. Okay, its return type is integer, so it return a value. Okay, now come to the various modes of inheritance. So basically there are 3 modes of inheritance: public mode, protected mode, and private mode. Okay, so when a derived class is derived from a subclass publicly, when a derived class is derived publicly from the base class, then all the data members of public type of base class is public for the derived class, and the protected data members are protected for the derived class, and the private data member of the base class is private for the derived class. Okay, so in case of public inheritance, all the data members in the base class we can use same in the derived class. Now come to the second type of mode, that is protected. So if we derive a subclass from a protected base class, then both the public data members and protected data members are the protected for the derived class, and private data members are the private for the derived class. Now come to the third one, that is private mode. So if we derive a subclass from a private base class, then in all cases, means all type of data in the base class are not accessible for the derived class. Okay, so basically the private data members of the base class cannot directly accessed in the derived class. Okay, while protected data members and the public data members are directly accessed. Now take an example. So see this example here. We can use a base class named as A. Okay, now in this class we have declared 3 variables, one of public type x, second of protected type y, and third variable of private type as z. Okay, now we have created 3 classes, class B, class C, and class D as a derived class. That derived the class A base class, but in different modes. Okay, class B inherits class A publicly, class C inherits class A protectedly, class D inherits class A privately. So here class B, when class B inherits class A publicly, then the public data member of class A is public for the class B. Also the protected data member is protected for derived class, and the private data member is not accessible to the class B because it is private. We cannot directly access the private data members of a class. Now come to the class C. So class C protectedly derived the class A. So all the public data members and protected data members are the protected for the derived class. Means all the protected and public type data of base class A is protected for class C, and the private data members are not accessible to the class C. Now come to the derivation of class D. So class D derived privately to class A. Okay, so all the data members means X, Y and Z. It may be public, protected or private. All the data members are private, means not accessible by class D. Okay, so note that the private data members in the base class are not accessible directly by the derived class. We can access the protected data members and public data members of a class directly. Okay, now in the next lecture we will discuss about the types of inheritance. Basically there are 5 types of inheritance: single level inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance and hybrid inheritance. We will also discuss some of the ambiguities that arises in inheritance and how we can resolve them. So this is for the next class. Now thank you for being with me. Thank you.